The Rock Never Stops. Sorry, I got the kiddo in the background doing the dishes. It's important that parents teach kids the responsibility, give them chores. So I'm being a responsible dad. She's doing the chores, so you can get a little water in the background. Other than that, other than that, I don't know if y'all seen the recent Zach Lowe podcast. It's on YouTube and podcast channels. And him and the other person that he was interviewing, both of them long term NBA critics and analysts, gave a list of their 6 most intriguing players in the NBA. And both of them acknowledged Jaden Ivey and Ausar Thompson at the top of their list in terms of intriguing players for next season. And it's something that I started thinking about. I was like, yo, you know, I feel like I've been on the bandwagon for a while now, that both of them are special talents and that they're going to be big time. But I think the NBA is beginning to come around and beginning to acknowledge what these two might be for these Detroit Pistons. And I want to dive into that in this video. So if you're enjoying it, please smash the like button for me. It's a little thing, but a big thing. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It makes a big difference. It also lets the YouTube algorithm know you enjoy interactive live chats, because that's what this is. I respond to your chat questions and thoughts, and I give some feedback. If you say something crazy, I'm going to have to get on your top. But if it's a good point, I'm going to acknowledge it on my channel. All that's to say is smash the like button. Let me just start off with saying, sometimes I almost have to pinch myself and go back and view Jaden Ivey's and Ausar Thompson's highlights from last season. Just to did I really see what I thought I saw? Did they really look as good, as talented, as capable, as almost unstoppable as I remember seeing them? Because sometimes you forget. Sometimes you get busy watching other things. I've got a life. You have a life. And it's easy to forget. How many Pistons fans forgot about Jaden Ivey maybe less than a month after his injury? Totally forgot that he had 2 game winners against the Toronto Raptors and Sacramento Kings. Right? Everyone seemed to forget just how big of an impact he was making and the steps and the strides he was taking, even though he was still trying to figure out how to play alongside of Cade Cunningham. Because remember, Cade was injured his rookie year. Then the sophomore year, it was the Monty Williams fiasco. So they never really got a chance to find their rhythm, their chemistry, figure out, okay, how are we going to do this together? And then here comes JB Bickerstaff. JB Bickerstaff comes in with a system, with a culture to imprint on this team, a foundation, identity of what this team is going to be, and everybody began to fall in line. And with a lot of luck from the basketball guys, because God knows they deserved it, all of a sudden, everybody was healthy, just about. And Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham were able to take off. Now, I think if you recount from the beginning of the season, the takeoff didn't exactly merit a whole lot of wins at first. They actually had a really heavy beginning stretch of the season, right? A lot of contending teams, a lot of teams that were expected to win the NBA championship, to be at the top of the playoff brackets. And so it was rough early on. But you could still see the strides. You could still see, despite Cade and Ivey not necessarily knowing how to play off of each other, still being able to take over for stretches of games, still being able to impose their will and show that they've got some considerable talent. And then we all know, as the winter ensued, December rolls around, and all of a sudden the Pistons get rolling. Eventually, Ausar Thompson is cleared from the blood clots, and they begin to work him in on minutes restrictions. He probably plays about 10 minutes a game for the first 3-4 weeks, which was tough as an onlooker, because you begin to see his potential and you're like, yo, man, if they could just put this all together. Okay, we'll trust JB. He's figuring it out. But you keep looking and wondering what it looks like with all them playing together. And we didn't get a chance to see it before Ivy went down. But of course, as Ivy goes down, Ausar Thompson begins to ascend. his minutes increase, and the impact that he has on the defensive end all of a sudden begins to transform this team into a defensive identity that I would say it took JB Bickerstaff a while to truly buy into. The reason why I said that, it wasn't that he wasn't preaching defensive principles and teaching them how to play as one, but they didn't have the defensive talent that was going to be necessary to be able to elevate the defense in the way that he wanted. But eventually, Ausar Thompson's minutes began to peak 20 plus minutes a game. It begins to hit that 20 mark. And as it got to that 18 to 20 mark, all of a sudden the defense on this team, especially as he shifts into the starting lineup, begins to be undeniable. The defense skyrockets. This team's overall efficiency on both ends begins to increase, and they go on a run. A run that would result in 44 wins. And now comes the offseason. Now, I think it goes without saying, we all believed that had Jaden Ivey been present in the playoffs, we probably beat the Knicks. I don't think that there's any of us who believe that the Ivy impact, instead of Tim Hardaway Jr., elevates this team. But something that I was thinking about was just how good Dennis Schroeder looked on this team. But also acknowledging that Dennis Schroeder was a replacement for Jaden Ivey. That he was necessary because Jaden Ivey had gotten hurt. What would it look like if from the beginning of the season we have Ivy and Ausar Thompson? And this is where today's conversation takes place. That Jaden Ivey and Ausar Thompson are going to be playing a full season, are going to be playing alongside of each other from day one, from training camp, from off-season workouts, from preseason, and the regular season. Day one, they will have the full collection of talent. Ethan was good, man. Ivy would have provided more offense than either Tim Hardaway Jr. or Beasley, and better defense than Beasley for sure, similar to Tim Hardaway Jr. I actually think Jaden Ivey has even better defense than Tim Hardaway, like significantly, just because of the not the offense, because of the athletic difference between them. Jaden Ivey's quickness, lateral mobility, lower center of gravity, leaping ability, speed, wingspan, all were far superior than Tim Hardaway Jr. Now you combine him alongside of Ausar Thompson. I think everyone's defense looks 10 times better. Because you saw the impact once Ausar was in that starting lineup. All of a sudden, Tim Hardaway Jr.'s defense looked better. Cade Cunningham's defense looked better. Jalen Duren's defense looked better. Imagine now you have a bigger, more athletic, longer, quicker Jaden Ivey. How much it elevates that collective defense. Tim Hardaway Jr. puts his body on the line and takes charges. Those plays are why I put them in similar level, but I'm not mad. Yeah. No, he does do that. He also gets blown by for straight line drives. And I think that that's something that I constantly saw that I would really frustrate me, especially when Ausar Thompson was available. Like I would say in December, January, February, when JB Bickerstaff was still hesitant to try to close with Ausar Thompson, he would close with Cade Cunningham, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Cade would have to guard the other team's best perimeter player while being our closer. And he would go with the veteran leadership and shooting ability of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, but it would come at a significant cost to our defense in trying to close, which made things hard on Jalen Duren to be effective and even Tobias Harris. Now, the offense was a little bit more efficient because there was a little bit more spacing, but it still cost you on the other end. I think this season, the reason why the NBA has its eyes locked on Jaden Ivey and Ausar Thompson is because they lightweight know. They know what those two are capable of. It's not a big question mark. It's not even I'll put it this way. They're so talented I think most analysts are afraid to say what they really think they can be. Because if they really factor in what they can be, this might be a team that can come out of the Eastern Conference, depending upon its playoff positioning, right? Because we all know Cleveland gets hurt in the playoffs. It's either Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, likely Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. One of their big four is going to get hurt. Sometimes two of them or more. And then you have the New York Knicks. We already showed them we can give them a run for their money. And we're that much better this year. You know, Downtown Deuce had this uh, uh, recent video that he posted about Karis LeVert being kind of the linchpin of our offseason and that he was going to be more impactful than Duncan Robinson. I actually began to second guess that. At first, I was like, I could see it. I could see it. I think he could be right there with him. But then all of a sudden, I started remembering. I was like, wait a second. A part of his argument was just how good Dennis Schroeder looked. But Dennis Schroeder was only necessary because Jaden Ivey got hurt. You see, the reality is, as good as Karis LeVert is, there is no way that JB Bickerstaff should be putting the ball in Karis LeVert's hands over Cade, over Ivy, over Ausar Thompson, and likely even over Jalen Duren. Especially because I'm factoring in Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey because they haven't re-signed extensions and are in contract years betting on themselves. They're likely going to turn in one hell of an offseason. Like they're going to be working their behinds off in the lab. I expect to see them go into next season and look incredible. How many touches is Karis LeVert going to get? How many touches? Just what can we expect his role to look like? Because it's no longer Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off screens needing a facilitator. It's no longer Jalen Duren needing somebody else to set him up. It's no longer we need someone to take ball handling responsibilities off of Cade Cunningham. You've got now three other guys who have elite talent, who are in your starting lineup, who are a part of your team's core and future, who are going to be ready to do just that. As good as Karis is, I don't think his role is going to be as big as what we saw from Dennis Schroeder last season. In fact, if I had to bet outside of Isaiah Stewart, I think Duncan Robinson might become one of our most important bench role players, at least for the first half of the season. And the main reason is because he fills a role that this team is already comfortable with, that they've had a lot of success with. The shooting that Malik Beasley was able to do, that Tim Hardaway Jr. was able to do, he's going to be able to come in and do in spades. Maybe not lead the league in 3-point shots made or, be one or two. Right? Anthony Edwards kind of stole that from him right at the last game. But it's to say that I don't know. I'll put it this way. It's a seamless fit. It is a seamless fit. There is no question that Duncan Robinson can do exactly what those two did. And he's 6'8". Probably has a little bit more ball skill in terms of getting downhill after the catch. They run him off the 3-point line, putting the ball on the floor, push dribble, getting right in the lane, even has some footwork to kind of play make the right read, finish at the rim, and he has greater positional size, which means that he can guard more up and down the line. He can switch that much more. Duncan Robinson may be our seventh man off the bench behind Isaiah Stewart. And then when you think about Ron Holland at 6'8" and his motor, the culture that he adds to in terms of that toughness, physicality, intensity, ability to get out in transition, but most importantly, defense, creating turnovers, getting on the glass. he's likely, I would not be shocked if he ends up even circumventing Duncan Robinson, especially if his jump shot proves true. If what we saw throughout Summer League ends up being the expectancy that we can have from Ron Holland in terms of 3-point shooting and providing spacing for this upcoming season, he's probably our seventh man off the bench, pushing Duncan Robinson down, pushing Karis LeVert even further down. All that's to say is this team is now reorienting around this core unit of Cade, Ivy, Ausar, and Duran. But Ivy and Ausar are what the league is really looking at. We saw what Jalen Duran could do. And if I'm honest, I probably should have added Jalen Duran to this list because they're looking at him also. Who's the real Jalen Duran? The first half of the season, the second half of the season? Shoot, for me, I'm looking at who we saw in the playoffs. I see he has even more than what he's shown in the playoffs. I've seen more in his past highlights, Summer League, rookie year, than what he was able to show this past season in a more defined, limited role. If Ivy, Ausar, and Duran are in the lab and they come in this training camp, blowing the doors off, this team could be absolutely special. Absolutely special. Get to some of these comments here. Casio was good, man. I actually agree. The main issue with Ivy isn't him as a player, it's the idea of how to utilize him at the coaching and front office want him to be. He's like Anthony Edwards, a pure shooting guard, not a point guard. I completely agree. I completely agree. I think in that starting lineup with Asar and Cade, you play Ausar Thompson almost like an Andre Iguodala as a point forward, and you allow him to get Cade and Ivy off the ball. You have that downhill attack potential while his ability to set up the offense. I think what I would love to see from this offense is that at the beginning of games, we start with Ausar Thompson at point forward. That's what I would love to see. I would love to see that we start Ausar Thompson as a point forward, getting Cade and Ivy off the ball early. And then as we begin to stagger guys, maybe Jaden Ivey comes out first. All right. Then all of a sudden you allow Cade to have some more ball handling responsibilities, and Asar tries to get downhill a little bit more. He becomes more of an aggressive scorer. And then you have Jalen Duran kind of assert himself. Asar comes out, Ron comes in, maybe Cade goes out, Ivy comes in, Duncan comes in, and then now Ivy becomes a little bit more aggressive on the ball, right? Setting up the offense a little bit more, right? How they play with these substitutions will be really interesting. But what I foresee is that Asar will have the ability to unlock Cade and Ivy by allowing them to get off the ball early so they don't expend as much energy early in games. Because we saw often, especially early in the season, when Cade had to carry such a load in terms of ball handling responsibility and defense, that he would become gassed at the back end of the game. But if you could take him off the ball early, now you have Cade being able to get wide open shots because other guys are playmaking for him, whether it's Ivy or Asar or Duran. He can get himself going without expending a lot of energy. And I think that that would bode well for the long term potential of this team, especially as the season wears on. We know that it's a marathon. We know it's a marathon. We know guys get tired. They're chasing guys off the 3-point line. They're trying to cover the, weak side corner, flying out on shooters. Uh, it's a lot of energy that they're going to be putting out, especially on the defensive end. Being able to conserve energy is going to be huge. I think Ausar Thompson helps with precisely that. And it falls in line perfectly with who Jaden Ivey is. Naturally, an off ball shooter who can attack straight line drives. My best comparisons for him, Ray Allen and A young Eric Gordon, explosive to the rim. That's what's up. Explosive to the rim, great in transition, really strong at the shooting guard position, but deep shooting range. They actually have a similar release point too, but deep shooting range with explosive athleticism, which is a rare combination. Get to some of these other comments here. I think Karras helps him do that. Yeah, but yes, and I just don't know how many reps Karras is going to get, especially if Ausar Thompson comes in and he begins to put it all together. Like whether or not Ausar Thompson, and this goes to another point that I've been making, because I've been on the Ausar Thompson bandwagon since summer league, right? Before his draft, I was like Jarris Walker, Jarris Walker, Jarris Walker. They drafted him, and I was like, I kind of messed with Troy Weaver. I'm gonna see what he's talking about. And then I saw Ausar in summer league, and I was like, oh, I get it. I missed it. That's why y'all do what y'all do. That's why. And it was clear. Ausar was a special talent. Since then, I've seen it. What Ausar Thompson's going to be able to do if he puts everything together, even without a jump shot, what he has already shown the ability to do, get downhill, finish with either hand around the rim, over the rim, get out in transition, offensive rebounds, posting up, straight line drives, a little pull up jump shot in the paint from about 8 to 10 feet out, getting to the free throw line, weak side dunker spot, even maybe a corner three or two. Ausar Thompson is going to be somewhere around 14 to 16 points a game, probably somewhere around 6 to 8 rebounds, 4 to 5 assists. That's what I'm forecasting. If you have that guy at 22 years old next season, likely first team all defense, I don't see JB Bickerstaff or this front office saying, take the ball out of his hands and give it to Karis LeVert. I just don't see that. Jaden Ivey comes in balling. How do they take the ball out of his hands to give it to Karis LeVert? How do they take the ball out of Jalen Duren's hands if he's doing his dribble handoff thing and he's attacking the rim and he's attacking his mismatches? God knows if he starts doing a little pull up 10 to 15 foot face up jump shot a la Tim Duncan, right? Give him a little Alonzo Mourning, pull up jump shot, not off the bounce, but just kind of face up, shoot over the top, or attack the straight line, which I think he can more than do. More than do. How do you take the ball out of his hands to give to 30-year-old Karis LeVert, who's on a 2-year deal? I just don't see that. I don't think his role is going to be that big. Ethan, I think we've upgraded with Duncan instead of Beasley. That doesn't mean he'll make 319 threes, but he won't need to. Big facts. I think Duncan Robinson's shooting ability, off ball, standstill, will have its own gravity. His ability to move without the ball, I think is someone that Cade Cunningham will love to find. It'll be that much easier because he's 6'8" instead of 6'3". Now it's a lot easier to find him when he's cutting to the basket or he's curling off of a screen or he backdoors. It's that much easier to find him and get him the ball, which Cade and Asar both love to do. And Jalen Duren running dribble handoffs, etc. Right? Because that dribble handoff was going to feel a whole lot like Bam Adebayo handing off to him. And so I completely foresee that action being seamless, a seamless transition. Duncan Robinson is going to fit in like a glove. National media is higher on Duren than it seems like a lot of Detroit Pistons fans are. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I keep telling y'all he's young, he's figuring it out. I've said it many a times. If I was a 21-year-old, Adonis at 6'10" in the NBA with millions of dollars, I'm probably in Angel Reese's DMs also. Like, what's good? What's good? I'm living my best life. I'm not saying I'm not locked in, but I'm also saying, I got other things going on, which means that my progression is going to have its own, it's going to take its time. But make no mistake about it. I've said this over and over. In a contract year, the player is going to come to play. And both Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey are looking at this contract year. They have not been extended. And I've said this plenty of times. This was going to be the feather in Trajan Langdon's cap if he could resign Duren and Ivey collectively for under 50 million. I don't think either of them think that they're worth less than 30 a year, which means they may be in a prove it season. If I'm honest with you, I would be okay with Trajan Langdon signing them both to around 60 total. I think that's definitely worth their value for their age, their talent, what they're potentially looking at next year. I'm also not mad at him saying, okay, show us. Show us. If you start balling out, hey, you know what? We could be signing you throughout the season. But I'll say this though. If both of them ball out, they might be looking at 35, 40. Because if I'm someone like the Brooklyn Nets, if I'm someone like Charlotte, if I'm someone like, I don't know, Boston, or what's another team out there that's desperate for a big man, desperate for a center, desperate for a lead scoring guard off ball who can just knock down shots, create his own shot, has the cojones to hit game winners with an S, right? Those two are going to look extremely attractive. Young, athletic, hard to find. You can't you can't teach size and athleticism. You can't. The Jalen Durns and the Jaden Ivies don't come around often. Some of these other questions here. One thing about Ivy and Duren, they are real workers. Facts. Unlike those who fake off-season workouts. Shout out from the Philippines. Having my lunch right now. Oh, it was good. Where you at in the Philippines, man? I've been out there, man. I think we had this conversation before. Quezon City. That was my spot. It was dope. It was good to have you in the chat, Mike. Ethan, they expect every center to play like Ben Wallace. That's just not who Duran is. Facts. And if I'm honest with you, like as much as I love what Ben is doing, okay, from the southern part of Skippy. Okay. I see you. I see you. Some of the best food I ever had out there, man. Been a fan since '88. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. You know, one of the things that I mean, I think Andre Drummond got pulled into the Ben Wallace, memory of a lot of Detroit Pistons fans. I actually think most Detroit Pistons fans don't support Jalen Duren because he doesn't look like Miles Turner. They've had to watch Miles Turner in the playoffs and watching him in the regular season knock down threes and look pretty unstoppable against us. And granted, Jalen Duren struggled defensively against him, but most defenses struggled against Miles Turner shooting volume threes from the center position. And that's just a reality. But I think what they lost sight of, and some of this I have to put on Jalen Duren's, responsibility that he wasn't consistent. First half of the season, he struggled mightily. Not to mention struggling in that Monty Williams year. Now I know pretty much everybody did, but that's still struggle. And so it's hard to convince people, hey, I still have talent. I'm still capable. I'm still that dude when you're not consistently showing it. Now, the second half of last season, he definitely took off. Jalen Duren took his big leaps. And in the playoffs, he showed out. He probably had one of the best showings against the Knicks front line of Mitchell Robinson and Carl Anthony Towns of any big man in the playoffs. I think he outperformed Jarrett Allen, to an extent, Evan Mobley. He was able to control the boards and the interior play. He made it essential that they go big because Duren was just able to beast out on the boards, offensive glass, defensive glass. and he could create his own shot to an extent. So when you think about Jalen Duren's impact by the playoffs, all of a sudden you begin to realize there's a reason why everyone's eyes is focused on this young Pistons core. Ivy, Asar, really at the core of it. Because even though I love Jalen Duren. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna say he's easy to replace, but of the three, he's likely the easiest. The easiest. Because as dynamic as I think he is, I think you can get away with a cheaper, less dynamic big and still be extremely competitive. Ausar Thompson, unless you're getting his brother Amen Thompson, I don't think that there's another talent who can do what he does in the NBA. Duran majorly improved his stock with his play during the playoffs. Facts, Ethan. Facts. I think what he did in the playoffs was finally waking people up to what I've been saying he has in him. But he got locked in. And I'm going to be honest, Ausar Thompson unlocked a lot of his game. A lot of his game. He was able to play in that dunker spot so that when Jalen Duren attacked his man and a help defender came, he could throw that lob right over the top to Ausar Thompson. Also, Ausar Thompson kept offensive rebounds live. That even if he didn't get it, Jalen Duren might have got it. Or the attention that Ausar Thompson uh, uh, garnered from the defense opened things up for Jalen Duren. So I think that those two really had great chemistry. But more than anything, Ausar Thompson's ability to control the perimeter defense and ensure that players couldn't get those straight line drives that they were getting against Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, scoring right over the top of them, I think helped to insulate Jalen Duren and give him that extra second he needed to make those rotations on time. Instead of being a second behind and guys being able to get to the cup, now he was on time, if not early, and able to deter them from the rim, either with verticality, jumping straight up, or just getting a straight up block. Ausar Thompson did major benefits for Jalen Duren's game. And then there's Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey probably was the only player that I saw when Cade Cunningham struggled. He was able to put his foot on the gas and buoy our offense. Ray Floyd was good, my man. Jaden really have to show he is the guy next to Cade. Jaden, you mean? Yeah. I really hope they are working out together. Cade and Jaden don't really seem like they hang out. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I agree. I agree. But then again, neither do Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. If I'm honest with you, do we really think Draymond Green and Stephen Curry hang out? Great chemistry on the floor. Do they hang out? So I don't know if that's necessary. When we saw John Wall and Bradley Beal, they were very different personalities, weren't necessarily best friends, but they figured out how to make it work. Jaden is so busy with his child making factory right now. Hey, I don't blame. Yo, bro, Mike, you give me $10 million a year. If I got $10 million a year, I'm having about 17, 18. I'm about to have an empire, bro. You give me 10 million a year, bro. Bro, what? Why not? Why not? Yeah, you too, right? Move in auntie. I can move in, you know what I'm saying? Mother-in-law. You know, I always laugh at those families who have like a mansion and only like 3 people living in them with a whole bunch of maids. How you got more servants than you got family members? That don't make sense. You let me, you give that to me? I got a 6-bedroom house. Everybody got their own bathroom, room, right? I ain't sharing a bathroom. I got a lounge. I got a den. Man cave, study. I got all the space I need, bro. Basketball court in the back. Maybe it's an indoor. Who knows? Probably isn't. It may not be an indoor. I'd love it to be, right? You give me that much money, I'm having a whole grip of them. Whole grip of them, bro. Whole grip. A grip of them. Facts. Let's rival Elon. Hey, somebody else needs to besides Elon. You feel me? Casio. Casio was good, my man. Um, to be frank, Scotty and Jordan never hung out outside of practice and games. That. That. I think now that it's established, it is established. It's Cade's team. Remember, Cade was out Ivy's rookie year. He was the lead guard, the engine of the offense. It was hard to tell him when Cade comes back, this guy's better than you, and you were a number 4 pick. Okay, he was number 1, I'm number 4. Ivy was literally considered to be a potential number 1 pick. Yeah, it was clear. Yeah, other guys that were better. Paulo was better. Okay, Chet. Okay, got it. But Ivy was right there because of his potential. So it's one of those things. It's like you kind of gotta show me. You gotta show me before you say that you. And that's kind of what you want. You want somebody with that level of confidence. But at this point, Cade Cunningham, All NBA, third team All NBA, All Star, led them into the playoffs. Ivy, I think, can accept more readily, especially looking at the success that this team had last year. Your parents had 17 kids. Yo, that's what's up, Ethan. Yo, you blessed, bro. You blessed. You blessed, man. A large family means a lot more people you could bring together, um, that you could work together with, that are invested in one another. I believe in big families. I believe in them. Let me see. Yeah, I think Ivy is gonna have an easier time falling back behind Cade. And I actually think his game is more predicated to playing off ball, allowing someone else to set him up. And I think when he does that, you're gonna see Jaden Ivey become that much more efficient of a scorer. He was already efficient last season before the injury. But I think that you enhance his role, especially when he slides into the role that Tim Hardaway Jr. had. The off-ball shooter, dribble handoff, uh, pin down screens, right? You just run him off the ball, a la Ray Allen or Eric Gordon, and let him shoot with range. He's got really good range, solid base where he gets a lot of balance on his threes. And because of his threat to attack the rim, guys lay off him. Guys really don't know. They're kind of a pick your poison. Lay off too much. He's knocking down the three. If I get too close, he's by me in one dribble and he's at the rim. Ivy is that level of elite attacker. And something I even thought to myself when I was watching Ivy attack the rim, I said if Ausar Thompson could ever get his footwork and ball handling down to be able to, what I really think it is he just has to learn how to consistently drop his hips to stay balanced when he's trying to get downhill. He has a habit of being up a little bit too high, even though he's able to spin off of guys, take a little bump, raise up over them. But I think if Ausar Thompson comes back a little bit stronger and he's got his rhythm down, his footwork, his ball handling into training camp, I think he's going to have no problem blowing by his defender. He'll have no problem getting to the rim and finishing. And I think that combined with his playmaking and facilitating abilities, it's really going to be a defensive pick your poison between Cade, Ivy, Asar, and Duran. Because each of them are going to have the ability to create their own shot, create for others, right? And they are a matchup problem. And I think that that's where I've been saying this for a while. That's where JB Bickerstaff is going to have to really cue in on is how do you develop an offensive system where each guy is able to fall into their roles, right? Jalen Duran is doing the dribble handoff thing at the top of the key. Okay, so now maybe Asar Thompson goes into the dunker spot. Tobias Harris in the weak side corner, providing spacing. Ivy and Cade are coming to the ball, from the wings. Okay, Asar is running the point forward position. You drop Duran down. Tobias is in a corner. You have Ivy, Cade, uh, coming off screens, running through to the opposite side, catching screens from Harris or from Jalen Duran, flying up to the wing or curling it, coming back in. Asar finding him over the top. Right? Like there's so many different sets that they can be running that should unlock each of them, but really it's going to call for buy-in. That guys don't mind deferring to one another and staying aggressive. If they put it all together, it's going to be nasty. And that's why the league is watching Detroit. They're literally watching. They're like, yo, they won 44 wins and they only had Asar for half a season and Ivy for another half of the season. And really, they only had Duran for half a season because he didn't wake up until the second half of the season. He didn't get unlocked until the second half of the season. So what do we do? What do we do with that? My big thing is I just hope Detroit Piston fans are watching. I hope the Detroit Piston fans are watching. Because if everyone else, it'd be a shame that Zach Lowe is the one to put y'all on and say, "Yo, man, hey, they're two of the most interesting players that I'm looking at for next season," and y'all out here trying to trade them for Cam Thomas. Crazy, right? Crazy. Um, let me see. But even in all the team gatherings of pictures, they are never next to each other. That's true. No disrespect to their brotherhood, but they don't really be hanging out. That's very true. I think that they can figure it out though, and I think that that's what they'll be looking at. They will be looking at that. Can they figure it out? And remember, winning solves most of that. If you're winning and playing well together, the chemistry is good enough. It's good enough. Scotty and Michael, they weren't buddy buddy. They were winning. On the court, they respected each other. On the court, they had chemistry. On the court, they knew their roles with one another. And I think if Ivy can accept his role next to Cade, if he can accept his role next to Cade, which is a high level role, I don't think it's a reduction at all. But if he can, oh, he's going to get that 35-40. Point of attack defender, off ball shooter, on the move, kick out, straight line drives, attacking, taking over when Cade is tired or out. Maybe he's getting doubled and trapped. If he can be efficient and effective in maximizing his role next to him, a la Joe Dumars next to Isaiah Thomas. If he can be that, he's getting 35, maybe 40 next year. Let me see. Uh, yeah, that's why he's not hanging out with K. I'm not trying to sound weird. I just noticed that. No, no, I think that's a great observation. I think that is a great observation, Ray. Um, and remember, Asar 6'9". When I seen him in person, and I'm walking by him in the doorway of the coffee shop, and I'm looking up. His family was like already 6'2", right? Somewhere in there, it was like a whole bunch of them. It was like I want to say. So I came to realize he had a basketball camp out here. I didn't even know. Not the best publicity, even though I heard the camp did really well, but not the best publicity. Because I actually know people who are like really close with his family. I work with some people who I guess their mom used to babysit him and his brother and stuff like that. All that's to say, because they get like they got offered tickets and whatnot to the games. That's how I found out. Uh, but I walk by him, come in the doorway, and I see his family. It's like a little entourage, maybe around like 5 people. And they're probably coming back from the camp. They looked a little tired or whatnot. He's probably taking a whole bunch of pictures all day, stuff like that. Either way, he comes in the doorway. I see, 6'2", 6'1", and then all of a sudden I see this tall dude. I'm like, who is this? This dude's easily 6'7", easily 6'7". Could also easily be 6'8", 6'9", 6'9" in shoes, 6'7" and 3/4 without shoes. Like that's how he looked. That's how he looked over 6'7" without shoes. With shoes, 6'8" and change. Either hey, straight up. I've stood next to Kobe. I've stood next to Paul Gasol. I stood next to Derek Fisher. I stood next to Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, Iguodala. I had friends with the Golden State Warriors back in the day. I've been back in the locker room. I've stood around NBA players, right? I've traveled around guys. I'm about 6 feet, 6'1" on a good day, right? The right pair of Nikes, I'm hitting that 6'1". I got the LeBrons on with the extra cushion. Your boy is 6'1". When I stood next to him, dude was easily looking like he's 6'8". Easily. Easily. If he's not, but I would be curious what he looks like because he already looked like he was taller than Cade last season. And we all know that Cade is minimum 6'6" without shoes, if not maybe 6'7", because we've seen Cade next to other guys who are measured at that height. Ausar Thompson could easily be 6'8". And then he begins to reshape how we think of this team if he can be the future four of this team. Right? If it comes out of training camp this coming year and they're like, yo, Ausar is 6'8", 6'9". Is he our future four? He gets up to about 235 pounds. Which I think he could easily, because he was playing at 225, 230 pounds this past season. If he puts on 5 pounds of muscle, and now he's 6'8" and change, Ausar Thompson could easily be, and I may have to do a video on this, but Ausar Thompson might be our power forward of the future. He just might. And that would be a scary thing for the NBA. I keep telling y'all, the NBA is watching. They're hoping that it becomes a numbers crunch salary wise. They are hoping. They're hoping desperately that the Detroit Pistons decide to get off of one of those guys because everyone's lining up. Everyone is lining up. Ivy, Ausar, Duran are players for an NBA Finals team. They are starters for an NBA Finals team. Ausar came into the league at, what was it, 200? His brother was at 215 pounds. Ausar was at around 220. I'll look it up right now. Ask me. Shoot. I ain't playing around. Hold on now. Hold on now. You ain't just gonna say when, call it out. I'll pull it up. Got receipts, bro. Love receipts. Love receipts. Google this. Amen at 6'7". Have you seen Ausar next to Amen? Asar is bigger than Amen Thompson. He's bigger. Let's go like this. Here we go. Draft combine. Let's go like this. Yep, that's the draft. Here we go. See? So he came in at, both of them came in 6'5" and 3/4 barefoot. So they're standing around 6'7", both around 6'7", with a 7-foot wingspan, 218 pounds as a rookie. As a rookie. As a rookie. So let me drop a little game on you. Let me drop a little game on you. Muscle weighs more than fat. So as Ausar Thompson is putting on muscle, usually in the legs, this is where they first kind of recommend players develop their legs, their base, then their core, not necessarily arms, right? But back, core, legs. Uh, you're developing strength that's also adding to your overall body's weight. your overall body's weight. If Ausar Thompson added, let's say, just 3 pounds of muscle between his rookie year and sophomore year, he's up to 221, maybe 222. He adds another 3 pounds of muscle between his rookie year and sophomore year. He's at 225, 227. Let's say he adds another three this offseason. He's over 230 pounds. Right? It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. If Ausar Thompson is 6'8", 230 pounds this year, that's a monster, bro. That's a monster. With his athleticism, his quickness, his ball handling, passing ability to get downhill, out in transition. He's going to remind us, if I'm honest, of a young LeBron in transition. His speed, power, explosiveness. It's going to be legit. It's going to be legit. And I'm not even capping. I'm not even trying to just hype. If you saw how many times he ripped guys at half court, I wish somebody would do a video of just Ausar Thompson steals, even just on ball steals. How many times he's locking guys up, turning them, knocking the ball away, deflecting the ball out of their hands, and then just breakaway speed. When he gets out in transition with the ball, no one's even chasing him. Imagine if he's up to 230 pounds, 6'8", with his 38 to 40-inch vertical. It's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. I'll get to some of these comments here before I hop off this thing. Let me see. Ivy is either hooping or doing family life. Facts. He has no time to hang out with Kate. I agree with that too. When you got kids like that, and probably Kate is in a similar space, right? He's got a kid, he's got a wifey. It is what it is, as long as they got chemistry on the court. Ray Floyd, let me see, I already went on that comment. Let me see. Ed Robinson, at what point was Ivy ever mocked to go number one in that draft? Plenty. I would say that he was always in the conversation. He was always in the conversation. He was on the fringes, but he was in the conversation. In that draft, you had Paolo and Chet, who were at the top of the conversation. But then Ivy was always right outside. Always right outside. They were looking at his talent, his speed, his explosiveness, and they were like, yo, this dude could be something special. Trying to remember, there was one other guy. There's one other guy who went before him. Y'all remember his name? The guy who went before him? Keegan Murray was in that draft. Was it Keegan Murray who went to Sacramento? J-Dub was in that draft, but there was somebody else who went before. Let me go like this. Pull it up. Draft. Wow. See, I love pulling this stuff up because it just refreshes my memory. Because your boy forgets. Appreciate y'all asking me about it. Right? Gives me an opportunity to look at it. Jabari Smith Jr. That's right. Jabari Smith Jr. was cold in college at Auburn. He was cold, bro. He was cold. Facts. He was, bro. He was absolutely him in college. If he was able to shoot with the same frequency and efficiency that he did in college, in the pros already, he'd probably be all NBA already. He would have been probably, if not an all-star, close to an all-star. And considering all the injuries this past season, I wouldn't have been shocked if he didn't break through the all-star. I actually think Jabari Smith Jr. is going to make a jump this year. I think he's going to make a leap next to Kevin Durant, whom he's already worked out with. Right? Remember, he had that summer he was working out next to Kevin Durant, trying to get that, creating his own shot off the ball, working on his little handle, pull up. You see it building. You see it developing. Even though it wasn't dropping with the same regularity, you see him working. He's working. And you have that muscle memory. You always remember yourself as being that dude who could knock down shots. You never forget that. So it doesn't take much to get you back in that mode. And the more you keep working on it, the more you keep developing your game, the more you keep drilling and developing the complementary skills, the footwork, the base. Saying Jabari was going number one. Nah, I heard some people saying Jabari could. I thought that was kind of fluff. I thought there was a clear difference between Paulo and Jabari, but there was conversation. In fact, what was interesting was Keegan Murray going before Jaden Ivey. That was the real, but it was more so because at the time Sacramento had De'Aaron Fox, and they had I think no, they didn't have Malik Monk yet. I think that's when they got Malik Monk that year. But they had was it Kevin Herter? They had those guard positions filled, but they definitely had De'Aaron Fox running that point position. So it was like, yeah, we don't need to go with Jaden Ivey, right? All that's to say is that's how Jaden Ivey falls to the Detroit Pistons at 5. But he was definitely in that conversation. Let me see. Some of these other comments. Y'all always be having great points on here. Bro, it's crazy that both Ivy and Matherin are in contract years and they'll both be starting shooting guards on their teams. True. I think Matherin had a great showing in the finals. And he had flashes throughout the playoffs. Even though, if I'm honest, he also had flashes of being just as bad. Like he was up and down. He had amazing, like great games where you're like, oh my goodness, could this guy be like high level number one scoring option type of, or at least closing scoring option? I'm trying to think of a player of his caliber who looked like a great scorer, even if they're not your number one scorer. I guess they call him a sixth man. Like if you can't consistently score at a high level and you don't do other things, you become a sixth man. And I think that that's what he's going to have to fight against this year. He's going to have a year to prove it. But I don't think that they're in the same boat because when you look at it, or I should say in the same boat, not the same boot. Getting old here. Um, Jaden Ivey was starting from day one. And aside from the uh, Monty Williams fiasco in his second year, which he figured out by the end of the season, oh, he's a starter. Ivy has always been a starter. Matherin has not always been a starter. In fact, he struggled to really hold on to a starting spot because he doesn't play defense well enough or consistently enough. He doesn't do enough other things outside of score, playmaking for others, rebounding, defense, moving without the ball. He doesn't necessarily make players better. He's just absolutely elite at getting to the rim and the free throw line and creating his own shot. So I think that's something that he'll have opportunity to show this year. Is he more than an off the bench scorer? When was he coming off the bench last year? Ed, when was Ivy coming off the bench last year? No, it didn't unfold live in the draft. I'm looking at these comments here. I'll read it out loud for everybody, but let me go through. Okay, Asar was at 218 pounds. Google lists Amen at 6'6", at 6'7", Sar at 6'6". That doesn't make sense when they came in at the same height, but you're saying Amen Thompson grew more. Have you seen them next to each other? Ausar Thompson is clearly higher. 218 pounds as a rookie doesn't mean he stayed at that weight as from his rookie weight. Um, it literally says 218 pounds. So you're assuming he's no, I said he's 225 plus now. Ed, not then. Now they were clowning Google for it, although Amen was giving Asar some crap too. Yeah, he was. I love their rival. I love their twin rivalry. I love it. Absolutely love it. Broderick was good. Exactly. Outside media has been trying to create Ivy trades constantly. The league can't wait to get their hands on Jaden Ivey. They are. You have to understand the Detroit Pistons young core are the league's favorite to have an opportunity for their favorite teams to try to snag. Those are the favorite guys for them to create random mocks for their team to try to grab. They would love to get a Jalen Duren, a Jaden Ivey, a Ausar Thompson. But I think they've already kind of accepted they're not going to get a Ausar Thompson. So now they're hoping for Jaden Ivey or Jalen Duren. I don't think they get either. Let me see. Another headcanon story. Not sure what that means. Ray Floyd, Asar was crazy his rookie season. He just needs a camp. He lost time, but I see him going crazy next season. I do too. Ethan Jabari Smith went third. Yep. Fourth. Yep. They were saying Jabari was number one. Nope. Sorry, man. Paulo was always better than him. Coming in out of high school, he was rated above him. I think that they were creating ESPN created that narrative of Jabari potentially going above Chet and Paulo as kind of like trying to develop drama leading up to the draft. But I thought it was clear. People who really followed the draft saw a clear distinction between Jabari Smith Jr. and Paulo Banchero. The shot creation ability or the defensive acumen of a Chet Holmgren. Um, it was clear. It was clear. Let me see. I think Ivy made it known that he wasn't interested in going to the Kings and wanted to go to Detroit. That's true because he also had family in Detroit. Ray Floyd, I just hope we'll be able to afford our core. I think we will make it work because I think worst case scenario we can also rely on that we've drafted well, right? Like I think what's his name, Chaz Lanier is going to be a player for us, along with Marcus Sasser and Ron Holland, who are on rookie deals still. We still got Isaiah Stewart, Bobby Clement. I think after another year is going to be that much better. I think he's a guy that almost like a Trey Lyles. If you watch Trey Lyles' ascension, he was a really heady IQ player who did a lot of things well, but he had to grow into his body, grow into his game, and he kind of had this slow, steady ascension. But if you look at the player who Trey Lyles is today, guys are like, hell yeah, I want that guy. 6'10", can with defensive versatility, can rebound and knock down threes, moves well without the ball, can play make from the top of the key, passes. Like he does so many things skill wise. He just kept getting better. I think Bobby Clement has a similar trajectory. Even though I think Bobby Clement might be more small forward than he is power forward. I think he's more of a 3-4 than a Trey Lyles 4-5. But I think he has a similar trajectory of just continuing to get better. Um, ooh, that's the alarm. Mommy, can you turn off the oven? I think your sweet potato should be ready. But yeah, let me get to these last comments here. Let me see. So you mean to tell me Jaden Ivey never came off the bench behind Killian Hayes last season, bro? Last season, bro. Last season. Yeah. All right. Turn it off, mommy. Y'all are talking different years. Yeah. No, you know, I respect people trying to figure it out. We all here for the conversation, right? That's what this live is. We get to have a live conversation. Andrew Love, what is all right, just turn it off, mommy. Just turn it off. Kids. You just a character. Would you like to come on and say hi? No? Okay. If you want to be heard, that's for sure. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's funny out here. It's funny out here. Andrew Love was good, man. What is the love affair with Ivy, a mid player? Oh man, if you think he's a mid player, I think that's a personal opinion. But I tell you what, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jot this down. Andrew Love says Jaden Ivey is a mid player. So next year, when he takes off, the dude who's betting on himself shot 40% from three last year, looked like he was on the verge of a breakout in his contract year. When he takes off and he's getting over 20 points in a game, and he's balling out for us next year. I want that same energy. Come on back with it. Come on back with it. Let me see, Ed Robinson. So ESPN, CBS, Bleacher Report, and Fox all banded together to create the same lie about Smith going number one. Dude, go to YouTube. Bro, first of all, if you go to ESPN, CBS, Bleacher Report, and Fox for draft information, you're already behind the eight ball, bro. Those are the networks who don't put out information on the draft until right before the draft. You've got so many guys who are on par with the draft from November, tracking these guys coming in out of high school. Go check out one of my favorite draft analysts. Pull them up for you right here. Um, the Barlow brothers. Let me pull them up for you. Let me see. Locked on. Yeah, draft junkie. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, NBA draft consultant. Let me see. NBA big board. Yes. NBA draft. Raphael Barlow and James Barlow. You got that's my favorite source for the draft. Also like Hoop Intellect. I like him as well. But these are guys who follow the draft with these guys coming out of high school. That's when they're talking about these guys. They're talking about these guys way before the draft. So if you're following a media outlet who doesn't start talking about the draft until May, June, bro, that's not I wouldn't say a credible source. I would say that it's kind of just a mainstream. They kind of have their own narratives. Um, let me see. What is the love affair? What do you say? What's the love affair with Sasser that gets no minutes for three coaches? He's at the end of the bench player. He didn't get no minutes as a rookie. He was balling out as a rookie. You might have forgot. He was balling out as a rookie. Balling out. Last year was just a role and systems thing. But if you want to see a love affair, hey, go Google his highlights. YouTube it. Tell me what you think. You look at his highlights. See what he does. Tell me what you think. Ed, Ethan, the brother's statement was that he was always a starter. Look at the majority, bro. Jaden Ivey has started. I don't mind pulling up receipts, bro. I don't mind pulling up receipts. I don't mind saying if I'm wrong either. It's just a basketball conversation. Last season, Jaden Ivey started 30 out of 30 games. Ed, Ed, he started all 30 that he played last season. 30 out of 30. The year before that, I think this was the year that you're talking about with Killian Hayes. He started 61 out of 77 games. 61 out of 77. That's only 16 games he didn't start out of the 77 he played. The year before that, he started 73 out of 74 games. How do you presume he hasn't always been a starter, bro? He's consistently, the overwhelming majority of the time, starting. It is what it is. I don't mind the receipts. I don't mind the receipts. Let me see. It's crazy that you have to consider how to pay the players you drafted. That's a design flaw in the salary cap rules. I think so too. I think that that gets fixed in the next uh, collective bargaining agreement, the next CBA. I think that gets fixed. I think fans want to see that fixed. I think the league wants to see that fixed. I think there's a lot of motivation to fix that, and I think it happens because I don't think the league wants to see young teams broken up because they draft well, develop well, and they win together, and they're worth a lot. Nobody wants to see that, right? That's just not good business for the league. It's just not. Let me see. See, it's crazy. Yeah. Andrew Love, 17 points again. 17 points again is a mid player. A game, you mean? 17 points a game is a mid player. Point two other players averaging 17 points, 40% from three. Show me. Show me the other players in the league that are averaging that 17 points per game or more. Just start there. Count them out. Tell me which ones of them are mid players. I guarantee you, pretty much all of them are either fringe all stars or all stars, averaging over 17 points per game. Overwhelming majority. If you're averaging over 17 points a game, you are considered a fringe all star or all star player. That's just facts. That's just facts. You either made the all star game, you've already made an all star game, or you were in consideration for making the all star game that year. I'll let you look because I know you're going to say some. I'll be right here for you. Oh, hell no. Broderick Hunter, that's what I'll be saying to myself sometimes. Oh, hell no. What y'all talking about? Regarding that Ivy comment. Whose Ivy comment? Mine's or his? Let me see. Them guys not real scouts. What are you talking about? The Barlow brothers are not real scouts? What are you talking about? Locked On? Them dudes is following from literally in the gym with these guys. If you actually go listen to their channel, bro. Listen to their channel, bro. These guys are in the gym. They are at these tournaments. They are at these work. They are there. They are there watching these guys. Literally. So basically, other YouTubers that, bro, I'm a YouTuber, technically. Some other guys do it for like a career, like they pay their bills for it. I don't pay my bills from this, so maybe I'm not a YouTuber. But it's to say, some YouTubers have some great content. Great content. Great content. Bro, okay. Now now you're just being like mixing, you're trying to be exact. No, he did not start 100% always. Okay. I gotta get to the bottom of these. Let me see. I gotta catch up on these comments. Are we hoping Sasser can become what Cam Thomas is? Yes. I think Sasser has an edge as a better defender. I think so too. I've seen Sasser try to be a dog on defense. He competes there. Also think he's a better passer than Cam Thomas. And I don't think he has the same physicality to create his own shot, but I think he plays extremely well off ball. His shot is pure. His 3-point shooting is pure. I think he's a great contributor off the bench. I think he could be number 9 in our rotation, 10 at the worst, but I think he's in the rotation regularly. Let me see. What are you talking about? So basically, you just proved he was not always a starter. Oh my goodness. Are people really watching the Pistons? No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not really watching the Pistons. I think it's cool. I think some people watch with their own lens. Sometimes people don't even play basketball, bro. Sometimes they just watch the 10-minute highlights, which I gather it's hard not to. It's hard not to watch those 10-minute highlights. You know, people got things to do. And there's people like me. I like to watch the game live. I got NBA League Pass. I pay for that so I can go back and watch the game the next day and get underneath the surface, and really take a look at what the team is doing. I'll break it down, rewind, see how plays developed, see how guys are developing certain skills in certain areas that I know that they're trying to improve upon. Like I'm usually watching most of the games twice before I comment on them throughout the regular season. You know, and I have my own background in coaching, personal training, athletic development. You know, I just have my own expertise, and I would call it expertise because I've been paid to coach, train, and play basketball. I'm blessed to have been able to do that. I just like coming on here and talking basketball with y'all. Let me get to the last of these comments here. So by this logic, Cam Thomas is a fringe all star. I said, go and look at the players who have averaged 17 points a game or more. I guarantee you 90% of them who have averaged better than 17 points a game are fringe all stars or all stars. But I'll tell you this much: Cam Thomas most certainly has the potential to be an all star. You put Cam Thomas, let's say, on a veteran team somewhere, on a veteran team that just needs a shooting guard, come in and get buckets, and they go to the playoffs as a starting shooting guard, averaging, I mean, if he's on a veteran team that needs him to score at that shooting guard position, I think he could average over 20 points a game, easy. And if his team is winning, he's easily talked about as a fringe all star. Jordan Poole, I don't even think I'm not sure if he averaged over 17. He probably did last year, probably did. But he was even talked about as a fringe all star this past season. He averaged 20 points, three rebounds, 4.5 assists, right? Jaden Ivey averaged, let me see, last season, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Look at Cam Thomas. He probably didn't do anywhere near the assists. But let's just take a look because I'm curious. Thomas. Cam Thomas, only 3.8 assists, but he averaged 24 points a game. God damn, that's a bucket. Of course, being in Brooklyn, you're not going to get much respect for that, but that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. I think Cam Thomas just needs to get next to a bigger defensive minded guard. I wouldn't have mind actually seeing Cam Thomas in Orlando if they wanted a cheaper option instead of Desmond Bain. So I think Desmond Bain is more proven in terms of um, playoff success. But I think Cam Thomas can produce similarly. He won't have that facilitating ability that I think Bain has developed. Uh, but I think he could have been amazing between Jalen Suggs, um, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banquero. I think he could have been great. Uh, but yeah, Cam Thomas is an absolute bucket. Let me see. See. All right, I'm gonna do 5 more minutes to get to know some of these comments, and then I gotta jump off. So Sasser is near 25 points per game score. What? Sasser? I what you talking about, bro. Andrew Love, Sasser doesn't have Cam talent. Oh, you're talking about can Sasser be? Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you're looking at Sasser coming off the bench in the role that is going to be available between Cam Thomas and Marcus Sasser, I think Marcus Sasser can give you, which was the point that he was making, that Marcus Sasser can give you what Cam Thomas would do for this roster, but just far cheaper. And he gives you more defense. I also think Marcus Sasser is a better passer. So I think he fills in more holes and more needs outside of just pure scoring. But Cam Thomas is kind of a bucket. I think he finds himself someplace next year where he's able to prove himself too. You know, imagine him if he was on the Clippers. If he was on the Clippers, bro, if he was on the Clippers, bucket, bucket. Also, wouldn't mind seeing if he got over there to Houston. Ooh, ooh, ooh. If he got over to Houston. Let me see, Andrew Love. I skipped Broderick Hunter. I listened to all Pistons talk, cool, Deuce, etc., and watched all but one game. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Yeah, I like to go back and watch different games too. NBA League Pass helps in that regard. Watch every Pistons game. I don't watch highlights. I called if Ivy not on the court, the defense and team will be better. And they got better as soon as he wasn't playing. Did you also factor that that's when Ausar Thompson got entered into the lineup? That Ausar Thompson was on a minutes restriction, and the whole defense as a whole was terrible before he came back. Yeah. So maybe that had something to do with their defense, not just that Ivy's a bad defender, or you think he's a bad defender. I think he's a better defender than Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. Both of them. Yeah, I think things are going to change this year. Cam Thomas is a fringe all star, and would be if he wasn't just a one trick pony or if he was doing this on a winning team. Facts. I think so too. I got to respect someone speaking Detroit basketball past midnight. I know, bro. What am I doing? Jordan Poole was horrible. They was talking about the trade being bad. Jordan Poole, actually, I think he's going to ball out for New Orleans next year. Um, Blessed. Someone mentioned Jordan Poole as a fringe all star. I'm out, man. He actually was. He actually was last season. He was talked about as a fringe all-star. He was talked about. I didn't think he was gonna make it. I didn't think he should, but he was talked about. Cam won't change his game for what this team needs. I don't want them to sign him personally. I don't either. I don't either. I mean, has one of the worst defensive ratings. I'll leave it with this, Mr. Love. Your defensive rating is highly predicated upon who you are playing with collectively. The impact that you are having defensively has also to do with the rest of the roster you are playing with on the court. If you're playing with Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Duren throughout the first half of the season, your defense is not going to be good, period. Collectively, it's not going to be good. And considering that Jaden Ivey is not exactly considered to be first team all defense, which he doesn't have to be, it might speak to that rating. But it's far less to do with his individual acumen, especially when I'm watching him at the point of attack last season, and guards don't even attack him. Point guards don't even attack him. They just immediately pass, get off, get off the ball with Jaden Ivey guarding you, and they just wait to pick on Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley. That's how most teams played us last season, looking to pick on one of those two. But hey, I got to get off. This has been a long live. I didn't think it was going to go this long at all. It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Appreciate all y'all for tapping in. This was fun. I'm going to do a future video on can Ausar Thompson be our starting power forward for the future? Whether he grew or not, whether he's just 6'7", or he's maybe 6'8", or 6'9". I want to see him stand next to Tobias Harris next year. I want to see him stand next to Tobias Harris next year. All right. Hey, Jaden Ivey's defense is solid. Facts. Savant, man, where was you at this whole time, man? I was looking for you, man. Could have used you in the chat. But holler at me for the next one, though. It's going to be a good discussion. Can Ausar Thompson be our starting power forward of the future? Get at me in the comment section. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace, y'all.